Welcome back to our reflection on the Gospel of the following Sunday, and we're reflecting today on the 29th Sunday of the year. We're very pleased that you are able to be with us. As we have been doing, we're putting a special sheet on our website, and today I put something there on prayer by Evelyn Underhill, very important spiritual writer, so that's there if you would like to take it up. I invite you now just to listen to the text of the Gospel for the 29th Sunday. Then the Pharisees went and plotted to entrap him in what he said. So they sent their disciples to him along with the Herodians, saying, "Teacher, we know that you are sincere and teach the way of God in accordance with truth and show deference to no one, for you do not regard people with partiality. Tell us then what you think. Is it lawful to pay taxes to the emperor or not?" But Jesus, aware of their malice, said, "Why are you putting me to the test, you hypocrites? Show me the coin used for the tax." And they brought him a denarius. Then he said to them, "Whose head is this, and whose title?" They answered, "The emperor's." Then he said to them, "Give therefore to the emperor the things that are the emperor's, and to God the things that are God's." When they heard this, they were amazed, and they left him and went away. Just a reminder of the context in which this is taking place. Jesus is in Jerusalem. It's that period just before he's arrested. You can see that the leaders are already plotting to entrap him and capture him. And what we have in this section are 5 conflict stories. In other words, 5 stories in which Jesus does battle with the Jewish leaders. And mixed in with those are 3 parables, which we've already seen in the Gospels. And each one of them talking about somebody that didn't do what they should have done. So clearly, Jesus is in attack mode with regards to his conflict. What's happening here centres around this tax. And just to define what the tax was, it was a tax imposed by the Romans on all the Jews, and it included women and slaves as well. And as a result of that, it was not liked by the Jewish people. It was a controversial thing, and in the lifetime of Jesus, when Jesus would have been a little boy, there was a revolt led by Judas against the tax. So it was something that was in the minds of people. And when in the Acts of the Apostles it talks about the Jewish leaders talking about the apostles, one of the Jewish leaders, Gamaliel, says, "Why don't we let this movement just go on and let it fizzle out like the revolution of Judas?" So it was still being talked about in the time of Jesus. So all I'm saying is that it was a very sensitive area, and to say we shouldn't pay the tax was certainly going to get you into trouble with the Romans. Now, looking at what the Pharisees clearly they're working out of malice. It's very clear, and Jesus recognises that. I think the coin is interesting. It's obviously a Roman coin, and the Roman coin had the image of the emperor and also a definition involving he was the Son of God, to which the Jews reacted, and they were allowed to have their own money. So really, the Pharisees having the Roman money is a sort of bit of an indictment on them, and Jesus calls them hypocrites, which is perhaps what is important. So Jesus was faced with a yes or no, no involvement with the Romans, but yes, would annoy the Jewish people, because they're the ones that actually have to pay it, and that's the thing that's important. So the response of Jesus is almost like a lot of these things, it's not answering the question. It's sort of taking up the presupposition behind the question, and sort of says, well, give to Caesar what is his, because it's his coin and his image and his title, and give to God the things that belong to God. So he's allowing really for legitimate payment to government through taxes and things, but avoiding the actual issue that is there. And I think personally that there's a bit of a subplot there in the answer of Jesus, that he's really saying to the Pharisees, who are hypocrites, that they should be as serious in their attitude to God as they are in their attitude to the Romans. In other words, they're paying the tax and they're carrying the Roman coin and things like that. So I think that in the light of the issue that's been raised, I think it's possible that that's the thing that I think really is there. And as I was thinking about it, just my personal response was, I sort of feel that we're a bit like that in the sense that we're very serious about all the government regulations that we have to do, particularly these days. And you wonder if we're just as serious about the things relating to God. But that was just my personal opinion. But I think it's an interesting conflict story. And I think Jesus' point that he makes, he escapes the dilemma and gives a good and important message as well.
I appreciate your last point, and I guess I was thinking that because the parables so often, challenging as they are, they never really give us the answer in one sense, do they? And we've got to work it out for ourselves, and we're not comfortable always with that. And the two sides of the coin that I think we've got to wrestle with, and that's, well, what does belong to God? What does belong to Caesar, or to the world in which we live? And so often, what we say in church doesn't always carry over into the way in which we live our lives. And that's where I see this part of the conflict for us today. It's as real today as it was then. Yeah, and that poses the real challenge. What does belong, and how do I live? What I say is my concept of that which belongs to God.
What I find, which is rather different, but it's the part that I find irresistible, is how insightful and quite frankly brilliant Jesus is. Because here once again is the politics of faith and life and culture living out, but he knows they're out to get him. And it prompted me to think about actually the woman caught in adultery, where once again they're out to get him and put him in an impossible situation here, that it's life and death in the adultery situation, but in this situation he goes straight in and he can see it for what it is. But the brilliance to say, give me the coin, and then not, as you say, commit to being hung, drawn, quartered on the spot, but what an intelligent answer. Give to Caesar what is Caesar and to God what is God. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. So sometimes I think we underestimate the sheer intellectual brilliance of Jesus in these scripture passages. And I love that. I love that about this.
And it shines through in his conflict.
Yes. It doesn't get drawn, and you think, unless a person would battle one out.
It was interesting, I think, you putting into that other thing, that all this was going on, telling the story between Caesar and God. Jesus knew what was happening behind the scenes.
The intellect and the insight into the personalities he was dealing with. Sensational.
We invite you now to just look at the text and see what it is you feel that the Lord is speaking to you in the text. Welcome back. We will invite you now to listen to the text for a second time.
Then the Pharisees went and plotted to entrap him in what he said. So they sent the disciples to him with the Herodians, saying, Teacher, we know that you are sincere and teach the way of God in accordance with the truth, and show deference to no one. But you do not regard people with partiality. Tell us then, what do you think? Is it lawful to pay taxes to the emperor or not? But Jesus, aware of their malice, said, Why are you putting me to the test, you hypocrites? Show me the coin used for the tax. And they brought him a denarius. Then he said to them, "Whose head is this, and whose title?" They answered, "The emperor's." Then he said to them, "Give therefore to the emperor the things that are the emperor's, and to God the things that are God's." When they heard this, they were amazed, and they left him and went away.
My resolution was to do with that point I made about being as serious in our attitude to God as we are with the things in our life. I'm involved in a number of things at the moment that makes me have to be organised in relationship to government requirements and things like that. But you do them all, but you can then reflect on, am I just as serious in doing all the things that I should do in relationship to the Lord? So I decided to reflect on that.
It's strange for me. I feel very grateful to thank God that whoever Matthew was, that these were recorded and recorded with such clarity. And I don't think I've ever thought that. How am I so grateful for that these gospel stories were recorded and written with such insightful capacity.
If we didn't have them, we wouldn't know about Jesus at all.
At all.
That's right.
I feel quite grateful.
It's so easy to accommodate ourselves to life as we live it in the world and all of it, but we can kind of very easily gloss over the faith part of it. Yeah, we'll do this, we'll go to church, and that's it. We could walk away as if there's nothing more. But to integrate both is a real challenge. And I think back. I don't mean this to be political in what I'm saying, but the referendum we had recently and the implications of our faith in God, where might that lead us? It could lead us either way. But where does it lead us? How do I kind of allow that to influence the way I live and the challenges that I face because of this commitment? And I'd just like to reflect on that. Because for me it's a real challenge as I sat with that gospel story.
We invite you now to draw something practical from the text. Remember, the process, Lectio is a process, begins in the scriptures and ends in your life. So just try to draw something out that you can apply to your life. Let us now just spend a moment of prayer and intercession to ask the Lord for the grace that we need, because we are entering into the realm of the supernatural, deepening that supernatural life that we have, and we need the Lord's assistance in doing that. Thank you for being with us. We do appreciate that you do share this time with us. We regret that we don't meet you and come to know the things that are circulating among the people who are watching us. But however, we hope that we have created an atmosphere within which people can read the scriptures and be challenged by them, and that they can be open to the Lord speaking to them through the scriptures. We conclude now with the prayer from the liturgy of the 29th Sunday of the year.
Almighty ever living God, grant that we may always conform our will to yours, and to serve your majesty in sincerity of heart, through Christ our Lord.